there's actually something more important in how you do business in emerging markets that I personally think a lot of companies aren't doing enough of, and that is really paying attention. I mean, we call it kind of the McDonald's Starbucks factor. We literally have a pricing index. I mean, if somebody, what do you pay for a Starbucks in this country? What do you pay for McDonald's in this country? And why is it that you would pay the same for AutoCAD in that country? I mean, I was in Chile a couple months ago, and the Minister of Education said, Ms. Bartz, if our average worker only makes X amount, how can they pay 3X to buy your product? Well, they can't. So what are they going to do? They're going to steal it, or they're going to do it by hand. And it's usually the first. About 8 products are stolen for every one bought from us. So that gives you an idea of how deep the piracy is. So we'd be a 10 billion plus company if we could monetize all the products that have been stolen. So you have to pay attention. What are the wages in this country? What's the living pattern in this country? You got to price accordingly, and you got to package accordingly. And I know a lot of multinational companies get very nervous about that concept because they think, well, then this country's going to feel cheated. Why can't they? Why do they pay $6,000 and these people pay $600? Well, get over it. That's how it works. And so one of the smartest things we do in the emerging countries is really look at wage standards, labor standards, that sort of thing, and we price accordingly. You also, of course, have to, certain things you have to do with language, certain things you have to do with their particular manufacturer billing standards, but that's pretty obvious kind of stuff. The other thing we do very, very importantly is we don't send expats into these countries. We hire locally. The whole operation is local, and it works very, very well for us. We just have not ever been a company that sent our Americans out over the world. That just does not make a lot of sense. So from a global strategy, let me just say one more thing about the flat world, because I love the fact that Friedman did the book because it gives us all a language. The whole concept, though, is it is forever changed how we find resources as a company, how we deploy resources as a company, how we sell as a company, where we manufacture and market as a company, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Forever changed. And what I tell my customers, we just had major account seminars around the U.S. in the last few weeks, and so we bring CEOs in, and I kind of do a CEO to CEO talk. What I say to customers is, if you aren't thinking about how you're changing your company, you will not be a relevant company. If you are not figuring out how you do your work 7/24, and by 7/24, it's not only, are you waking up with the clock, which is okay when Europe goes to sleep, the U.S. wakes up, and Asia, and so on and so forth, but how can people actually be doing jobs simultaneously? How do you get information over to your new China customer in the hands of your salespeople so they can be effective first shot, in their first presentation. And, most people are just scared to death of this whole concept. So it is forever changed. And so the idea of not only viewing emerging markets as a great potential. I mean, India just passed the magic $500 per capita income, which turns a country to have a vibrant middle class. That's huge. That's a huge deal. They're going to buy things like shampoo. Why is that important to us? Guess what? Shampoo bottles are stamped out with big hunkin' machines. Who designs those machines? Guess what? Engineers that use our products. Who designs a building that those big hunkin' machine goes in? Guess what? Architects that use our products. On and on and on. And I love going into a drugstore, and I get off on saying, there's 100 different bottle types here. Now, it's not just, did somebody draw this design, for that bottle? Why do I care? That's a different mold. That's a different machine. Really. So, not only the consumer power, but how we're going to actually operate in this global economy is just such a kick to learn about.